So my career dates back to 1983 and 1984 and 85 when I was the city administrator in Belle Plaine, and I would get letters. We didn't get emails back then, but I would get letters or some type of communication. I don't think it was horse and buggy, but it wasn't certainly electronic, where Government Training Service would be putting on a program for city officials, especially city administrators. And the one in particular was the city managers, the Minnesota City Managers Conference. But I was first introduced to GTS from the programming that they did and the information that I received that was applicable to my job as a city administrator. And the one I highlighted just a moment ago was the most important one for a young administrator, which was the City Managers Conference. And Helene Johnson and her team from GTS coordinated and sponsored that conference. So for many years, long before I was on the board, I got to know Helene and her staff through the programming that they did for city administrators and city officials. That was my first introduction. Part of it's just my nature. It's, to be involved, to hold leadership roles in organizations that I really believe in and support. And I'm a passionate believer and supporter of professional development for myself and for the teams that I worked with. And so GTS provided that opportunity for us. And they were at the time, one of the only ones that did it. So they didn't have a lot of competition to compete against. So we didn't pick one or the other. It was really GTS. GTS sponsored the City Managers Conference and other types of conferences and events. So it was part of kind of our vernacular. What was GTS offering? What conferences were they hosting and were they putting on? And so I got to know the staff. I got to know Helene and the other staff, Rich Spencer and some of the other team that got involved. And I would talk to them and learn more about what they were doing. Their reputation was very good. The program they did was timely and applicable. They made a difference for me, and I wanted to be part of a successful organization. I wanted to be part of something that supported what I believed in professionally and where I thought I could add value on a personal level. So we received state funding, which supported or supplanted or subsidized some of the programming that we did, and I believe budget cuts and budget issues were implemented, and so we were losing our funding. So we had really no choice. We had to come up with another business model. And of course, as coming on the board, what we wanted to do was make sure that we sustained the effectiveness of our programming. We wanted to make sure that we had continuity on our board. We wanted to make sure that the staff were taken care of because they were long, dedicated staff. The original staff from GTS were there for many years that really laid the groundwork for Fusion today, that the evolution of the work that is being done. And so we wanted to find sustaining financial business models, how we could use this new nonprofit organization to our advantage to support what we're continuing to do. But the core essence of what we provided didn't change. And that's why our success continued. I don't remember if GTS had values, the kind of the classic, we adopt the corporate organizational values. But if you look at those words, perseverance, resilience, adaptability, that's really what the core essence of GTS was at the time, whether it was a joint powers or a nonprofit. At the end of the day, what was most important was what the people who signed up for our classes and our courses and our training session gained from them. The value add, the means by which GTS was a conduit to speakers, to the organization, to the logistics, to the conference setup, and all of those details that mattered to people, they handled exceptionally well. People could rely on them. They were very dependable, very reliable, and you saw the same great faces and great people almost every time you came. So they became your friends and colleagues. In 2009, I left Scott County to join Springstead Incorporated as the Vice President of Organizational Development. And one of my responsibilities was executive recruitment. And I did a number of city and county manager executive recruitment work. And so when Helene announced her retirement, it was pretty easy for me as a board member to go from being an overseer of an entity to a supporter of a process. And I was on a committee, and there was one or two more members of our board that served on this committee, and we oversaw the process. We understood that Helene, a legacy leader, a founder of the organization, it would be significantly hard to replace her. And so we were very deliberative and thoughtful. We hired a firm to help us do some recruiting and some review and evaluation. And Mary came out on top at the end. And we knew that from that point forward, the organization wouldn't be the same. It was just needed to evolve and change. And I've been involved in whether it's information technology, financial services, these legacy systems that evolve and change when leaders change. So we applied the basic elements knowing that we needed to find the right leader for the future. Helene and her staff were superb for what they did for the organization, but it was never going to be the same after that. And as you could see from the last 10 years of how things have changed in society and in the world, it was a good thing to do. And so then that's really what Mary has done. And I'm happy that she's still there, and I'm happy the organization has evolved and is still doing really well. Fusion, like GTS, it has to be attuned to their customers and their clients and their users and the people that sign up for the programs. Even though GTS had a historic culture and a strong staff and a continuity in the board, we had adapted and adjusted the programming that we did, the type of programming, the content, how we did it, why we did it, with the times and with how things changed. And Fusion is in a great position to do that. Know who your registrants are, know what they need, get to know them personally. All of those characteristics and traits that GTS has, Fusion has. And if you continue to do that, you continue to kind of predict where the future is going and what needs people have in tight budgets and tight finances, your success will be outstanding as time goes on. Mary knows you can't be what you are today 5 or 10 years from now. And that's the part of surviving and thriving in a changing world. It was an honor to serve on the GTS board. I've been on many boards, many nonprofit boards, personal work, professional work. GTS was a meeting I always enjoyed going to. It was in the same location, in the same bank, same people, same board. It was great to connect with them. They were good people. It was a fun meeting. It was very positive and productive, and it was an enjoyable experience.